Okay, so on the bench today is a set of Advent speakers. So these were sold to the shop as working, just needing to be refoamed. So what do you suppose I'm going to tell you about that statement and the accuracy of it, right? So what I want to do though is take the opportunity to kind of show you at least how before I even get into the refoam, which obviously it needs to be refoamed. I mean, these foams are trashed. I want to show you what I do to the speaker first, right? So the covers have been pulled off. I look at the speaker. This one looks to be intact. 4 screws, they look like original screws. The dust cover's pushed in, not a huge deal, right? No crunchiness that I can feel there. That doesn't really mean anything at this point. And then what I do, using my multimeter, and it never fails, you know, the dogs are barking. We all know how that goes. If you watch my multimeter, what I'm expecting when I take a probe and I touch the speaker terminals is I should see some type of resistance, or I can have an audible beep happen, right? So, right, if there's a connection, I'll get that audible beep. But what I want to do is look at on ohms, right? Now, this isn't going to give me the impedance of the speaker. So even though it's going to show like 8 ohms or 6 ohms, that's not telling me anything about this speaker and its operational status. But I should get some type of resistance when I touch the 2 speaker terminals. So see if I can do this without getting my arm in the screen. And I don't want to spin the speaker, so I'm getting 5, getting about 6 ohms, right? So what that tells me is that at least on the surface, this looks like a speaker that I should be able to listen to, like refoam. This one I would go ahead and refoam this speaker. I would still remove the woofer and test, right, both the speaker terminals on the woofer itself just to be safe, but I'm fairly confident that I could proceed with the refoam on the speaker. So let me grab the other speaker and we'll do the same series of tests or evaluation steps and see what we find with the other speaker. All right, so here's speaker number 2. So, cover's been removed. What's the first thing we see? That doesn't look right, that's missing, that doesn't look right, that's missing. Bad signs, right? Pushing on the woofer, not bad. I don't notice any rub. Now let's do the same test, right, on the speaker terminals, and we'll see what we get. And I just lubed these turntables, so, and I'm just like in a really awkward position. My arms do work, but I'm just in a really awkward position. I'm getting OL. Oh, right, OL. So there's something going on internally with this speaker, right? There's no connection, right? If I go, right, this should beep, right? I should get some kind of resistance measurement in there. So, just need to be refoamed. While true that this does need to be refoamed, that is not the issue. Now, looking inside, I can see a problem. I can see a big problem with this, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can remove this easily. And you will see what the issue is. I'm not sure what it means, but at least what the problem is in terms of it not providing me a good measurement is. So So I'll remove the woofer. And the reason I know I can do this is because nothing is connected on the back. Wires are cut. So what I would do next, because I cannot confirm, move the camera down. So I'm using a new kind of tripod mount here. So using that same test, I should, right, get some type of resistance measurement when I go from terminal to terminal, and I'm getting nothing. Oh, well, look at that. That's become disconnected from the cone. Now, if I make contact, I may have to get a clip and clip that in place. I don't know if clipping this in place will work or not. Make contact there. I'm getting 5 ohms, which is good. So what I was scared that I would see is that it would come up reading all zeros or 0.5 or something like that. So this woofer is going to require some additional repair, but I think it's going to be repairable. So the steps going forward on this, what I'm going to do is fix this, right? I'm going to reattach that wire there. I'm going to pull these off, and it looks like these are just stuck on there and they wouldn't come off by themselves, so someone just tugged on it a little too much. So I'm gonna coax those off as best I can, reattach them onto the speaker wires here, and then I'm gonna do another test before I get into refoaming, right? But then the refoam is going to basically be basic refoam, clean the foam up around it. I'm gonna try to get rid of whatever crap that is, clean up these woofers. I don't know the status of that. I'll probably test it while it's open, run the same test, but I at least wanted to show you what I do when I get into refoaming some speakers. So what I'll do with this is I will, assuming everything checks out on these, I'll probably just come back with the finished product when I have these refoamed and cleaned up. If I do encounter other problems, I will come back, like if a crossover shot on one of these or something like that, I will come back. But first I want to make sure that I can get this speaker attached and then measure the resistance on this speaker when everything is plugged in the way it's supposed to be plugged in. Alright, well, I haven't gone crazy with speakers in my office, even though I can run 3 sets of speakers on the 939. I just want to show you the advents are finished. Now, what I didn't show before was the cloth or the covers. So there's Ralph joining us, and the covers are like in perfect condition. That one's a little crooked. I didn't put it on all the way because I want to show you the work that I did to the woofer and the refoam. And I've tested these. The reason they're in here is I plugged them into the stereo and I was listening to them just to make sure that they're working. So remove these. We'll go in for a close-up. I was able to remove the dent from the dust cap on this one, and I'll be honest, I've never had any luck using the tape method, you putting a piece of tape on there and pulling it. So I used the vacuum. I just took we have an old vacuum we keep in the garage, and I also have a shop vac, but that's a little bit too much, so I used the old vacuum that we had in the garage, and it popped right out. I tried to get rid of as much of that garbage off of these as possible, but I didn't want to go too crazy. I used a toothbrush, a little bit of rubbing alcohol, not much, just enough to try to lift some of that grime off. There's a little bit of glue residue. This is not from me. This is from the factory, but I did get a little sloppy with some of the glue on the outside, so what do you do? I was in a hurry yesterday when I was doing these. So this is the speaker with the dented dust cap. This one is still drying. This is the one that had that crap all over it, right? It had that spot. This is, I just finished cleaning this off. The alcohol is evaporating. Same thing with this. Use a toothbrush, kind of cleaned up around here. Again, this is from the factory, but I got a little bit overzealous with the glue. And that's about as clean as I could get it. I did find some screws that worked, but they're hex head screws. So what I did is, because these were a little bit thinner, I moved the Phillips screws that were holding the fried egg tweeter in position. I used those for the woofer, and then I took the little hex head screws and moved them up here, so there's no longer silver screws or 2 screws missing. Cleaned up the cabinets with a little bit of feed wax, and yeah, I think they look pretty good. Again, the grill covers are in really good shape. So successfully resurrected these from the dead. I'm trying to think, was there anything regarding? Yeah, there was nothing regarding that one woofer. What I had to do though, one of the speaker connects for the red wire or black wire, doesn't matter. That little flat connector was broken, so I did have to tack the internal speaker wire to the back of that with a little bit of solder, and then I slid it into position, and it's working just fine. These don't sound too bad. You know, they're small speakers. The ARs beneath them absolutely kill. These are killer speakers. That's why I'm keeping them for right now. They're not even hooked up, but now that I have the speaker wires in position, right, because I tested these, I can connect those ARs and use them occasionally if I want to. So, but the Bozaks are amazing, so I'll just use those. So anyway, the Advent Refoam speakers video is done. So if you like what you see, hit like, hit subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video.